forthcoming in terms of equity holdings, etc. So I think there's going to be a, if not already happening, a gradual unification of the Indian entertainment space with the rest of the world. And with that will come the, excuse me, the pricing power and the money flow, which international investors can bring to the table in terms of the media space. So media is one space that we really like. The other space that we keep talking about, which has not found favor with people, is textiles and the textile exporters. We have decided interest in some of these players, both in the media space as well as in the textile space. So the disclosure is there. These are high-risk areas because in some of these cases there's leverage, in other cases there's debt, and in many cases there isn't cash flow to boot today, but they own good properties, especially IP, excuse me, which could come in very, very handy in terms of finding a market both here as well as overseas. So especially on the media space, and I think media and textiles are two completely divergent but two interesting spaces where markets have found no favor whatsoever with investors. I mean, these spaces have found no favor with investors, and we think that some of these spaces could attract money. So you need to be contrarian to make outsized returns in the mid-cap spaces, and I think some of these hold potential while giving you the disclosure that we have an interest in some of these stocks, and more importantly, these could, take a long time for the returns to sort of pan out.
Yes, I can think of at least 100 listed media companies and at least 100 listed textile stocks. So you cannot be shopping from 200 names. Let's nail it down to some names, maybe some specific themes.
No, I think the idea was not so much to push a name, or I think one needs to do work in these spaces to identify, because I think, for instance, the general theme on textiles is known. They're going through unprecedented boom, whether on the spinning side or on the integrated side. And even on media, we're seeing a lot of action coming through. JWT having taken a stake in the digital properties of Hungama, for instance. A lot more deals in the media space we expect will happen. And similarly, in the beaten down laggard textile space, we think a lot of action is waiting to happen. I'll leave it without names because I think the idea was not so much the names. Everybody has his own poison in a sense, and I would sort of urge the investors and the viewers to choose their own.
Jakes, I know you love to go for exotic holidays and long treks. So let me rephrase my next question rather carefully.
Jesus.
Give us some large cap, mid cap, or semi-large cap names. I'll keep the market cap criteria open.
So that you can also afford an exotic holiday.
Were you able to hear my question, Jakes? So give us three names.
No, can you repeat the last part?
Okay. Jakes, if I have to plan a long trek and exotic holiday, give me three names where you're confident that I can buy those stocks, put them in my Demat account, come back after 3 years, and I'm confident that they will be a multi-bagger.
Number one, since I'm being pushed to this, is United Spirits. The disclosure is we have ownership, so I'm stating that up front. We think it's inevitable that United Spirits will become a multinational subsidiary. Whether it takes 6 months or 2 years, I don't know. But given the way Vijay Mallya's finances are panning out, we think that there is no option but for United Spirits to become a subsidiary of an MNC in India. That's number one. Other than that, on the media space, it's a stock we don't own but we like, which is EROS. And given the buzz about Indian movies, Bollywood, etc., we think that's one that has huge potential, EROS. Another one in the space where we did a private placement for a while ago, almost a year and a half ago, we own some stock as well, is Reliance Broadcast Networks, which owns the radio rights and certain key television channel rights. We think that could be an interesting play. These are two or three. The United Spirits is a high-risk investment to the extent that Vijay Mallya needs to do a deal to make it happen. But even by Indian yardstick is going at under 20 P, so it's not that high risk. Reliance Broadcast is still a loss-making company, but it's got some interesting properties which could come into a lot of fancy. We have ownership there. And the third, I would say, as I mentioned to you, is EROS, where we have no ownership, and I think it's much less of a risk. But the movie-making business has become exciting, challenging, but more importantly, hugely money-making.
Aisha? if you want to go for a trek, these are 3 recommendations from Jakes.
For sure. Jake's always good to have you on the show. Thanks for taking time out. Okay, those are the recommendations coming in from Jake's, but let me just quickly walk you through some other movers in trade right now. Well, the index has started off just about quiet at that 5,400 mark. There are some individual pockets of strength as well as weakness. So watch out for NMDC. That is one stock which is holding out very well. Welspun Corporation, Hindalco is seeing a turnaround after losses yesterday. The stock is up nearly 2%. You've got an Escomar's, Jet Airways, Tata Global Beverages, and Gen Irrigation as well is seeing some covering. So Gen Irrigation now at 75 thereabouts, and FT as well as the stock is holding out. So is the case with Nalco and PTC. On the flip side, NCC, Bharti, South Indian Bank, Central Bank, Shrey Infrastructure, Pantaloon, TTK Prestige are the names wherein the weakness continues. So we'll take a quick break on that note, and okay, first we'll go to Sandeep Bagle and talk about his trading ideas for the day. Sandeep.
Yes, Aisha. We have a buy in Financial Technologies FT, stop loss 850, target 885. A buy in TCS, stop loss of 1295, target 1340. We had this buy from yesterday. We are buying more today. A buy in SR Oil, stop loss 5330, target 57.
Alright, Sandeep, stay with us. Thank you for those trading ideas. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll connect with Mr. Lalit Kumar Gupta, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of SR Oil.
सदियों के लिए
This show brought to you by Standard Chartered Preferred Banking or Preferred Banking by Standard Chartered. GE Birth, moving, powering, building and helping to cure the world. Binani Cement for generations to come.
As we wind up the earnings season, find out the equity ideas our experts are betting on. Our guests on the stock game this week are Sanjeev Agarwal, Rakesh Gandhi and Vishal Malkan. Catch the thrilling game of portfolio building on DNSN The Stock Game only on ETNow.
Brought to you by State Bank of India. Car loans. GE Birth, moving, powering, building and helping to cure the world. Magma, investing in the smallest dream.
Once upon a time, a thirsty crow decided to quench his thirst. But he just couldn't reach the water. Then he tried something smarter, and the crow reached his goal.
So Daddy is thinking differently, smarter?
Always, son.
Save smarter with recurring savings plan from Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Samsung Galaxy S3. Designed for humans.
ब्यूटीफुल स्माइल सुष्मिता, पर क्या आप चाहेंगी कि आपके दांत ज्यादा सफेद हो?
ऑफ कोर्स, पर कैसे?
जर्म बिल्डअप से दांत पीले हो सकते हैं। चेक करें।
व्हाई नॉट?
आइए, ये है जर्म बिल्डअप। ट्राई न्यू कोलगेट टोटल एडवांस व्हाइटनिंग। ये दे 12 घंटे प्रोटेक्शन जर्म बिल्डअप से और ज्यादा सफेद दांत 2 हफ्तों में। हाय, कोलगेट टोटल इस्तेमाल कर रही है ना?
एवरीडे।
चलिए चेक करते हैं। मच लेस जर्म्स
और ज्यादा सफेद दांत। नया कोलगेट टोटल एडवांस व्हाइटनिंग, ज्यादा सफेद दांत सिर्फ 2 हफ्तों में।
लगता है हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया वापस आ गए। आगरा पहुंचकर ही लंच करेंगे।
गुड
टाइम क्या हुआ?
कार में गंदगी मचाना ठीक है, पर सड़क पर गंदगी मचाना गलत। एक विश्व स्तरीय एक्सप्रेसवे पर जरूरी है अनुशासन। बस ट्रैफिक नियमों का पालन कीजिए और आनंद लीजिए यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे का।
साफ तो करने दो। कोई इमरजेंसी नहीं, रेस्ट एरिया में ही रुकेंगे।
यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे, सुहाना सफर, सलामत सफर।
Always thinking markets, always talking technicals. Catch Rajat Bose and C.K. Narayan every weekday between 11 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. only on ETNow. Always thinking markets.
Back with first trades right here on ETNow, and it's not all that bad given the kind of global cues that we started off the day with. Weakness for US equities, Asia as well has started off on a back foot. We're pretty much flattish and a day of consolidation, really you would have to say, and we're quoting above the 5400 mark, so the headline number as such isn't quite giving you causes of complaint. Let's chat about individual companies though, and SR Oil is the one which is in focus after its earnings. Mr. Lalit Gupta, the CEO at SR Oil, joins in on the show. Mr. Gupta, hi, good morning. Firstly, we understand that you're planning to diversify your sourcing of crude oil, and in this regard, you are in talks with Colombia's Ecopetrol as well for an agreement. Is that true?
You are right. Basically, after we have completed our expansion and optimization project, our crude diet has become more towards heavy and ultra heavy crudes, and ultra heavy and heavy crudes are generally in the Latin American continent. So all these countries which are in that continent, we are in discussion, and we have almost have contracts with all of them for procurement of ultra heavy crudes.
In particular, what is the stage that the talks are in with currently with Ecopetrol?
So we do not want to comment on individual companies, but all I can say is that we are procuring crude from almost all the Latin American countries, because our crude diet has become more towards ultra heavy. In fact, our if you see in the first quarter, the share of ultra heavy and heavy crudes have become almost 89%. Which is a reflection of our expanded complexity of 11.8.
Right. Just to delve a little more into that, Mr. Gupta, what kind of sourcing requirement in million barrels of oil can such an agreement with Ecopetrol fulfill for SR Oil, and to what level can that be taken to at full potential?
See, at 20 million ton, we will be processing something around 145 to 150 million barrels of crude oil in a year. And as we have been saying, that almost 35 to 40% of this crude will be ultra heavy sort of crude, and which will be procured from Latin American countries, which includes Colombia.
So by when can we see the first shipment of this oil to arrive for you?
We are already procuring this ultra heavy crudes from Latin American countries. In fact, our share of ultra heavy crudes in first quarter itself was about 40% plus.
Mr. Gupta, why did SR Oil report a loss of 1400 crore for the quarter gone by?
Yeah, the first quarter, I mean, one thing I must say that this was the first quarter after we completed our expansion of 18 million ton. The throughput is 4.5 million ton, which clearly reflects the expanded capacity. We have also completed the optimization project 4 months ahead of schedule, which is on 5th June. So today we are operating the refinery at 20 million ton. The GRMs have already started reflecting the expanded and complexity. In fact, in the first quarter, we had GRM of almost $5 above the IEA benchmark, as against $2.50 in the corresponding quarter. The reason for first quarter loss was mainly there was a heavy reduction in the prices in the crude oil. In fact, from 125 in the March, Brent virtually came to less than 95. So this $30 fall in the crude oil prices, then the fall in the rupee, which is almost 51 to 56, 10% decrease. Both of them contributed very significantly towards the loss. And added to that, the interest and depreciation also was on the expanded capacity first quarter. So all these regions contributed to the loss.
But Mr. Gupta, you had indicated in your conference call as well post the earnings that you do see scope of improvement from the current levels as well in your refining margins as well as GRMs. So where can we expect the GRMs heading in the future quarters from the current level?
Yeah, you are absolutely right. In fact, from the second quarter, when this expanded capacity is now fully operational, The only thing which is left is the coal waste power plant, which is also expected to come by end of this quarter in full swing. So starting from this quarter and completely from the next quarter, that is third quarter of this year, you will see complete reflection of expanded capacity, expanded margins for SRY.
Gupta, are all your sale tax issues sorted?
On the sales tax issue, we are before the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has a hearing tomorrow, so we will know post that.
So have you made any provisions for the same in your numbers?
We had already made provision of almost 4